Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Work Comp Talk. My name is Carmen, and joining me again is Bilal Qasim, and I promise you we're going to keep stealing him once a week just to keep getting that insight, that good information that we want to hear when it comes to a workers' compensation case here in California. Bilal, there's a lot going on when it comes to workers' compensation topics, and I'm super excited that people are actually dumping their questions into comments, social media, and by the way, you can find us everywhere on social media, whether it's TikTok. We just launched the TikTok channel, Pacific Workers. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I mean, you name it, we're there. And, it's a place for you to just continue to just send us your feedback. What do you want to hear? What do you want to have a question answered? Blah, we're going to take advantage that we have them here weekly to get those answers for you if we can. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure you do so now. That way, if you're currently running a workers' comp case, you get that helpful information that can sometimes take your case to the next level. Speaking about social media, I heard a little birdie told me that there are cases where they use social media against you in workers' compensation cases. How
100%.
true is that?
That's entirely true.
No, you got to be kidding me.
All the time.
What if my accounts are private?
It doesn't really matter all that much. And you got to make sure you have the right privacy settings set.
Interesting. So you're telling me that whatever I post on my social media account can and will be used against me for my case?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Shut up. So, for instance?
Oftentimes you go to a doctor when you're hurt and your doctor will give you work restrictions. And in the reports, there'll be a summary of what you're going through, meaning, you'll self-report that you're having back pain or knee pain, or that you have limitations on the type of activities you can do at home, lifting your child or carrying laundry or taking out the trash, stuff like that. The insurance adjusters love to hire PIs and they love to hire defense attorneys, and they love to spend time going through your social media to see if what they're seeing in the medical reports matches up to what you're portraying on social media.
So they're paying somebody to stalk me on social media.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media you prefer to use, they'll go and they'll look around.
Wow. Okay. So what should we not post then? Is it in general anything? Can everything be can really they use everything against you?
I mean, maybe not everything. Like if it's a picture of you sleeping on the couch, they're probably not going to be able to use that to hurt your case.
Who knows? They'll probably be like, you're complaining about your back pain and here you are sleeping in a couch.
There you go.
That's why your back hurts.
So maybe. And actually, it was funny. That actually came up in a case.
Shut up. You gotta be kidding me.
What? Not the photo itself, but the fact that someone was sleeping on a couch and they had asked the physician, the defense attorney had asked the physician to comment on whether sleeping on the couch could actually be contributing to the back pain.
Wow.
So yes, if there's a picture of you sleeping on the couch, I guess maybe it could be used against you. But I would say, just as a general rule, if you're going through a work comp case, you should always set your social media to private. Go through all the settings, make sure everything's private, even tagged photos of you, whatever the case may be. Because even if your profile is private, but someone has a tagged photo of yours and your settings aren't set up right, it's still potentially visible. If you have another side business or something you do, got to be aware of that. But I would make sure everything's set to private to the extent possible.
I mean, it's funny that you said that, the privacy settings. Yes, I can have my account private. But if I get tagged, if I go to my sister's house and we're having a baby shower, and, I'm caught kicking a ball or doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, and she doesn't have her accounts completely private, I'm risking my case just by living my daily life.
Yeah. And look, even if you're honest and there's nothing that you're portraying on social media that's a lie, they love to try and manipulate whatever situation they can to benefit them and hurt your case.
Wow. So, I always heard the whole stories about, hey, social media can hurt you when it comes to workers' comp. I've seen it. We've written blogs about it, but I don't think we've ever went into an actual conversation of, yes, this is real. Yes, this does happen and it can and will be used against you in your case. That sucks. So does that mean that I potentially am not going to have a social media life?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for the time being, that would be...
Do you know how hard that is to ask somebody, hey, do not be on social media?
It's my suggestion, right? Okay. Because ultimately the insurance companies, they'll try and use whatever they can against you. And so it doesn't matter if it's honest. It doesn't matter what the situation is. If they can find some way to manipulate the situation and try to present a picture of you that's untrue or that's exaggerating your symptoms or something, they'll use it. And quite frankly, they just don't want to see you happy. The insurance adjusters
How
already look at
rude.
people out on temporary disability as taking paid vacation, right? Even though they're like arms missing or someone's paraplegic or really screwed up, they just don't want to see you
Enjoying life.
continuing on with life.
Wow.
Even if you're miserable and you're like in a wheelchair sitting in the corner at a birthday party, like in pain, like they'll still look at it and be like, why are you at a birthday party? You know, like you shouldn't be out there enjoying yourself.
Now, I get it. You're a workers' comp attorney. You've played the game. You know the role really good. Why are you so 100% sure that that's what they're thinking as a defense attorney?
I used to be one.
What?
Yeah, a long time. I mean, I used to be a defense attorney. I used to represent insurance companies and employers in civil cases and in workers' comp. And I know their perspective is that every person who claims injury is a fraud. They're a liar. It's all BS. It's all made up. They just want a free check and a settlement. And that's the perception from the defense. They hate people who get hurt for whatever reason. They look at it as a costly expense and that's it. They don't look at people who are injured as human beings that deserve compensation and deserve medical care.
Wow. I mean, and this is coming firsthand from someone who's worked on the defense side and is now an applicant's attorney. So you've seen the best of both worlds. So, okay, now I see where you're coming from. So you're telling me that social media is a source for them to come and attack you.
Absolutely. They'll use, photos of you doing physical activities to.
And then a picture can say 1,000 meanings.
Oh, yeah. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Literally.
It's unfortunate, but you have to be careful. And oftentimes they'll take your deposition, and as part of that, they'll go out and they'll scoop out your social media. They'll look for photos of you. They'll even send, a private investigator to follow you around. And then they'll ask you questions under oath. And oftentimes you'll forget that you went somewhere or you forgot that you did a certain activity. And so they'll ask you if you do that activity and you'll say, oh, I haven't done that in whatever number of years, or I haven't done it in a long time. But there they are on social media with a photo of you doing whatever it is. And they're going to call you a liar. They're going to attack your credibility.
Wow.
And they're going to try and ruin your case, even if it was just an honest mistake or something. So
this is serious.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. So in the best note for someone who's actually going through a workers' comp case, social media could be your enemy. This could break your deal.
Yep. People have side businesses. They post up their private life. Even if it's your stuff that's private, they can ask about your family. They can research, who you live with or your extended family members and look at their social media too, to see if there's photos or evidence of you doing something you're not supposed to on there too.
Okay. So we know what we're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this has happened before, because obviously we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah.
What happens in the cases where you get caught? Like, shit, they did find something on your social media. What happens?
Depends on how serious it is. If it's just straight up fraud and there's a lot of money involved, they can refer you over to the attorney for prosecution. I had one client who was running a side business doing hair, and she was hurt at work. And so she's collecting temporary disability, but she started doing more work on the side when she wasn't supposed to. And she was advertising her hair business on Facebook. And of course, the defense attorney found that and had a field day with it.
The defense attorney's niece found that.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Wow.
No, but they, in that circumstance, we were able to get the case resolved. We made it go away. But it doesn't take away from the fact that she was really injured. She was just doing something on top of that she wasn't supposed to, and she wasn't careful.
That sucks. That's a really shitty situation, I guess.
Yeah.
And even if you don't post a picture, or even if you don't post a video, even checking in somewhere, I can imagine. Like, what if you decide to go on a vacation to Cabo? The flight is quite some hours. It's not a 30-minute flight.
Yep.
If you're complaining about back injuries and you can't really stay put in whatever, and here you are checking in Cabo, like, how did you get to Cabo? Like, you had to have been sitting down for so long. Like,
we coached the client to say that they had them land the plane and so they could take a break because their back hurt.
Every
and then
30 minutes,
and
the
then
plane
they took
came
off
down.
again.
That would be a nice one if you have kids specifically. But that's insane. That's like an eye opener, because if you're fighting a workers' comp case, this is something you don't even think about. Social media. Who does not do social media nowadays?
No one. And I mean, the reality is, like, people still continue on with certain activities, even if they're in pain. Or, maybe the one day that they actually felt a little bit better, they went on a walk with their daughter, or, they decided to try and ride a bicycle around the neighborhood for a little bit of exercise. And that was like a one-off, and after that, the pain came back worse, or, while they were riding, they got hurt. But there's like this photo of them walking with their daughter or video, or like this photo of them on their bike out there. And then they're going to show that to the doctors and say, hey, remember this person testified under oath that they could never ride a bicycle with their pain, and they can't they can't go for walks with their daughter. And here they are, they're a liar. Right. So they use these one-off experiences and sometimes manipulated situations that are the result of posting on social media to try and ruin the person's case.
Ruin the person's life.
Yeah, basically.
Because ultimately, the future depends on what they get from these cases. You want to get the person who's been injured to be able to have a future, a good future for that matter. And it's like screwing someone over in that aspect is potentially going to endanger the future for them and their family. Like, that sucks. That it's an eye opener, but it's a thing. Obviously, social media is a thing of this moment. Everyone lives off of social media, and to say you're not going to use social media while you're going through a workers' comp case can go for years. Yeah.
And look, I know it's tough. And if nothing else, my advice would be just be mindful of what's out there, right? Be mindful of what you're posting. I know you can't control everything, but if you went to Cabo and you're injured, don't advertise it.
Make sure you say that the plane came down every 30 minutes.
Don't, because again, like back to what I was saying earlier, they don't want to see you having fun. Like it just makes them like enraged or something. They take it personally, right? It's unfortunate.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, I can't believe we're having this conversation. Like people seriously are paid to see you fail.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That sucks. Why would anybody even want that type of job?
I don't know. People do it, but at the end of the day, there's some adjusters out there and they really look at injured workers as lost money for the insurance company. And their job is really just to limit what's paid out on cases to save as much as possible. And if that means dragging someone through the mud because they went to their niece's birthday party a weekend when they said they couldn't drive anywhere, or whatever the case may be, that's what they'll do.
Wow, that's insane. Well, it's an eye-opener for anyone who's actually in an active workers' compensation case. Is there any way besides social media that they get information? You already talked about, they'll follow you. They'll do the private investigating. Like, what else should you be aware of?
They'll do background checks, skip traces.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised that they put an Apple tag somewhere just to see where the heck you're at. I would not be surprised. They come and tell you, come to the deposition and then slip an Apple tag into your purse.
They do crazy stuff. I remember we hired, this was back when I was a defense attorney, we hired someone to go take horseback riding lessons from a gal that was injured at work, but also taught horse riding lessons on the side.
Set up.
They'll, the private investigators will get gym memberships just to follow someone into a gym and, follow them around. I just had a client recently. He was at the mall with his wife and daughter shopping, and they had a guy following them around in the mall, recording them everywhere. It's crazy.
This is like the first 48. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. Like on like the first 48, like they look at all the street cameras and like zoom in on people, like definitely get to the person.
Yeah.
This is like, this is like similar.
I joke with clients sometimes, like, if you're standing there doing dishes and you look out your front window and there's like this red light coming from the bushes, it's definitely a camera. And I joke, but I'm like, it probably is.
Yeah, like, a drone.
And some clients, I had one client, he lives out in like rural Montana. And
in the middle of freaking
literally
nowhere.
It's super rural. It's a small community, right? It's not like downtown Los Angeles or downtown San Francisco or Oakland or whatever. It's like everyone knows everyone. And they hired a private investigator to go out to his house. And so they called me. They're like, hey, so we there's this van.
A random white van.
We've never seen this van before. And it was stopped in our neighborhood for like the whole day. And then we like went towards it and it like drove off. It's like, and then sure enough, 3 weeks later, we get the report and the videos like trying to like incriminate him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
So sad, but so true. Okay. In the means of someone obviously trying to stay away from social media and trying to not post anything, what else should people be aware of besides the white unmarked vans and stuff?
They may talk to witnesses, right? They may go do interviews, whether it's your boss or your coworker. If they have your social security number, they'll look up all your earnings history to see if you're concurrently working anywhere else. There's a bunch.
Wow. What if they
Yeah.
tag or what if they contact one of my friends on Instagram or Facebook and tell them, hey, can they legit be like, can we be friends? And can they put my friends against me?
They could.
Ooh.
I mean, they're not going to do anything like super shady, like try and convince your friend to lie or something, but they could talk to your like neighbor or something, right? They can
Hey,
ask
do us a
questions.
favor. Do you like our neighbor? Not really.
Yeah. Tell us he was doing so. He's on his roof when he wasn't supposed to, right?
Can you make sure you record him every minute he comes out? Oh my God, that's so sad. But it's true, I guess.
Yeah, and you know,
all jokes aside,
they can take depositions too. I had a client and she had a head injury, and she had a gynecologist just privately for her own personal medical reasons. And they went so far as to go and question the gynecologist to determine whether or not there was symptoms that she reported to the gynecologist.
Oh my God, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, but this is someone who had a head injury and they want to talk to their OBGYN.
Why? I mean, I get it, but no. Like that's
right. They pry really deep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
she's wearing a ponytail. She's got a headache.
Exactly, right.
She's got a hat on. She's got a headache.
And it's seemingly it's like case by case basis, right? There's some cases where like
so petty.
The insurance adjuster and the defense attorney don't mind the case. It's not a big deal to them. And then there's other cases where they like hate the injured worker and they'll do whatever they can to try and ruin them. Yeah.
That sucks, dude. It's not just screwing the person over, it's screwing their future. Because if in one way, shape, or form someone got injured and the results of that injury are life-changing, meaning you're never going to be able to do something you were able to do before, just in general, getting injured sucks because you're not ever going to be 100% better. So if you screwed that up in one way, shape, or form, and you're part of it, I can't even live with the thought that I have a job where I screw up people's futures.
Yeah.
For a living.
But it's okay. You saved the insurance company money.
But
right?
I saved a company. Like, what? This is so crazy. But it is, again, the craziness and all the things that happen behind workers' comp. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is a system that, again, it's just a system that unfortunately doesn't benefit everybody.
It is what it is. And unfortunately, we got to make the best out of the worst sometimes. But your social life, being present, your digital presence and all that stuff, that's all within your control. And you need to present the best picture possible. And that means not presenting much.
Don't have a life. I'm just kidding. Well, for the most part, I mean, that sucks for people that do like to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, there's people that hide pain, that don't like to allow things like this to affect them, and they'll put a different face on and mask the pain. In this case, don't mask the pain. Like, if you can show it, just show it.
Yeah, just be honest. Don't try and hide it, and be honest and just be aware. They'll try and use everything against you.
They're everywhere, literally. Okay, good to know. Well, that was it. That was a great conversation. It was an in-depth conversation. I never knew that social media can actually affect you to that degree. But now, with this being said, make sure you take care of yourself. If there's any further questions you have in regards to what else you should be taking care of while you're on workers' comp, make sure you shoot a comment, drop a message, whatever it is. Send us a drone. Send us a video. I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely get it to us. And then that way we can continue to talk further into this conversation. Or you can always hook up with Bilal and get him on the phone or get him on a video conference. And he can definitely have a conversation about it. So
sure.
PacificWorkers.com is where you want to go. Or Work Comp Talk is the place to find us everywhere on social media. Anything else you have to say, Bilal?
I think we covered it.
Awesome.
I think we covered it.
Okay, we'll catch you guys on the next episode of Work Comp Talk.